So do you have this and do you use it often? Because I never really did. I did do a video of going through what I thought about what was in it, and there are some good things in it. But now it's time for the new one. That's gone. Are we buying money for old rope? Or is this thing gonna actually help Dungeon Masters run games? I'm genuinely excited to look into it, but I'm reticent that there's going to be any useful things. Let's take a look. So, I won't get the actual physical book until the Monster Manual comes out, because I bought the bundle. It is such an annoyance. It has stung me greatly. But I've got the PDF. So that's what we're looking at. The basics. Okay, chapter 1. This is a nice piece of art. Okay. What does a DM do? Tips, things you need to know preparing a session. Yeah, that's good. Good opener. So whether you're a new DM or a veteran, what do we think of this? You're an actor, yes. Director, yeah. Storyteller, kind of the same thing. A teacher, a world builder, an improviser. You're also a human wrangler. Sometimes round the neck. The most important thing is being a good facilitator of the fun. Embrace the shared story, because, yeah, it's not a competition. The Dungeon Master has the skeleton, I always think, of the story, and then the players, it's up to them to put meat on the bones. And then you've got your sessions. If your players sit back and just wait for you to read them a story, sheesh, I hope that passes with time. But new players are very quiet, and you have to say, what do you do? What do you think? What do you feel about that? And eventually, if there's others who get more involved, hopefully they come out of their shell. What's new in the new version? Sound advice. Advice for Dungeon Masters of all experience levels. Tracking sheets. Encounter building assistance. Okay, interesting. Ready-made elements. New maps and makes it easier to run the game right away. Expanded and revised magic items, bastions, and the lore glossary. So the DM, you need the player's handbook. I agree with that. It's such a strong book. The PHB and the DMG are worlds apart in how much the DM uses both. So finding players. Where would you find the players? Hobby stores, yes. Friends, family, community members. Not in my case. I have friends who are now friends from playing D&D, but generally speaking, I had to pull in strangers. Gaming clubs at schools, social media, and conventions. Yes. A place to play. Play in an area with minimal visual or auditory distractions. I know some people play in pubs, and I always think, I don't think I'd like that. Sometimes the hardest thing about running a game is finding a time when everyone can play. Some groups play for a few hours every week. Create a schedule that works best for you. So note-taking, character sheets, campaign journal, useful additions, a DM screen. Yeah, that's an addition. You don't have to use a DM screen. That's fair. Grids and miniatures, they are optional. Card accessories, yeah, you can make your own. And I have all the spell cards and things. Preparing a session, the 1 hour guideline. This is good. Most groups can accomplish at least 3 things during 1 hour of play. Explore a location, converse with an intelligent creature, solve a tricky riddle or puzzle, fight a low difficulty combat encounter. Preparation time. Okay, 1 hour prep. 1 hour a week. Focus on the story, reread the adventure's introduction and background information, create a bulleted list of key plot points. Yes, well said. Identify the encounters you want to run, how possible or unlikely are they to come up, gather any maps and stuff. Yes, very good advice. Step 4. Consider how each definite encounter relates to the player's motivations. Skim the encounters you flagged as possible. With another hour to prep, you can carefully review the extra encounters. Devote any time you have left to creating improvisational aids. And if you have longer than that, create a new encounter designed to appeal specifically to one player. That is well said. Because people choose what to play, hoping to play them. And so if you don't create a moment for somebody to turn into an animal as a solution, I guess the druid's going to feel a little bit annoyed. Or if nothing needs smashing, the barbarian's going to be a little loose. That's good advice. How to run a session. Recap. I guess I do that. I'll say last week and my players will be like, what were we doing? Ah, yes. Describe the situation. So you set the scene, yeah. Let the players talk. And what do you do? Some players might give you the group answer. We go through the door. Yeah, other times you'll get individual answers. That's true. And then you sort of work through them in order or cross them off the list. One action at a time. Passing time. It talks about after a long encounter, when you finish a lengthy combat encounter or a tension-filled scene, take a break. And I play 3-hour games, but I would play 4 hours at a push. Ending a session. Try not to end the game session in the middle of an encounter. Oh, we do that. We do end it top of the round, generally speaking, so we know where we're at. So there's an example of play, which that's by the by. It's good to have involved in the book. Every DM is unique. It's all about the fun. What type of game are you wanting to run? Mature, gritty, silly, pre-planned, horror? House rules. Will the rule change or improve the game? Will my players like it? Yeah, I suppose you should. That's what a session 0 can be useful for. Actually saying, hey, these are the rules now. They've changed a bit since we last played. We're now going to do crunchy crits, or we're now going to do it so that you don't lose half a movement when you get up from prone, which I think is now the new prone rule anyway. It's the one that we've always done because we didn't like the original, losing half of your speed when you fell over. Atmosphere, music, lighting. Yes, absolutely. Watch other DMs. Yeah, that's probably all what people would do. Mutual respect, setting expectations. I'm not used to having anyone be triggered, but I do step carefully if I think I might be triggering somebody, which I haven't. Game expectations, we don't really need a list for that. Using the sheet. Hard and soft limits. I try not to even swear in my games, to be honest. But that's just me, because I've got youngsters doing it. Intra-party conflict. I do have, or I have had issues with player versus player. A lot of the times, because they're friends and stuff. Someone will say, heal me please, heal me, I'm down. Other one will say, what's it worth? How much are you going to give me for it? It's just stupid. I know it's their game, but if there's one player who's just winding their mate up and they're meant to be a tight-knit adventuring party, I do kind of say, look, no PvP, you had your fun last week, that's the end of it. And I have even had God strike them with lightning, 1d12 or something, being like, God's saying you're doing something wrong. And I'll keep doing that until you're dead. It's my game. It's our game, but don't ruin it. If a player asks for permission to play an evil character and comes to the table with one already made, talk to the player about what they have in mind. Oh, I burnt the party's tent down because that's what the player would do. These are some things you have to set, I think. Players exploiting the rules. Rules aren't physics. Don't let players argue that a bucket brigade of ordinary people can accelerate a spear to light speed by all using the ready action to pass the spear to the next person in line. Yeah, there's a DM there for a reason. He says yes or no. And I have a soft rule that is never say no to a player, but there is an extreme. If they say, can I do something, if it doesn't affect the story and no one's going to be too bothered, I'll say sure. If it's cool, definitely. But on the other hand, if someone asks something, can they do something that I really don't like, I'd be like, no. Knowing the rules, you don't have to be an expert. No, you don't. Absolutely not. You could. And Dungeons & Dragons allows you to make up the rules as you go. And if you say, well, we're not playing D&D, well, you kind of are. That's D&D. As long as you're mostly playing D&D, then it's fine. Running the game. Know your players, acting, exploring, dropping clues that hint at things to come. Fighting, instigating, allow actions to affect the environment. Yes, very much so. Like I say, the players are the meat. They decide what they do with their game times. Optimizing, engage players who like optimization by using desired magic items as adventure hooks and rewards. Problem solving, socializing, storytelling, group sizes. Generally assume 4 to 6 players plus the DM. I think 6 is a lot. I don't think I would want to do for more than 5. I have done, but my favourite is 3, but that's unusual. Combat goes quite quick. I'm very personal with each one. Small groups, DM controlled adventurer, sometimes called a DMPC, which I never heard until yesterday. And yes, being another player as the DM is something to be worked around rather than fully sunken into, like, oh great, I get to be a character. No. I spoke about it in a video I did the other day, that I've done all kinds of NPCs. Some just equate to, look, you've got advantage on every attack because realistically you're doing their attacks too. Almost like it's the help action from NPCs. But then on other times, my NPCs have actually saved the day or bolstered the team in some way. So there's a big scale of what a DMPC can do. Players with multiple characters, I wouldn't say that's a good idea. Speeding combat. Okay. With a large group. Be generous with information. If you tell the players what the armour class is, you reduce that step. That's true. I generally speed up combat by writing it on the card that I put over the DM screen. After a few rounds, I'd be like, you know what? It's 14. They worked it out anyway. Yeah, make initiative obvious. Rolled handfuls of dice. So you're meant to like roll the attack and the damage in case you hit. I find that it gets somewhat confusing, that though, when you roll all your damage dice. If the first dice is meant to get a buff off something else, or the slashing damage is and the force damage isn't, and you're like, well, which one's slashing, which one's force? You rolled them all together, we don't know. Absent players, they fade into the background. Decide the character is elsewhere while the rest of the party continue the adventure. Yeah, I just, it's easy. That's just, for me, you're just like, right, well, Jim has a health potion. Yeah, well, Jim's not here. So you can either go like, who's Jim? Don't know what you mean. You know, pretend he's never played. Or you can be like, yeah, it's in some sort of group. Let's say you have it on your... It doesn't really matter. And like you say, if you watch a TV programme, sometimes the character's not in it for a few weeks. It's like, well, they're still around, just that it's not being focused on them. If you're incorporating a new character into the group in the middle of an adventure, long-lost friend, rescued prisoner, that's a good one. That's something I've used often. A sole survivor of an ill-fated group of adventurers. Special guest stars. Multiple DMs? Poof, no, that would not work for me. Narration, keep your things quick, draw the player's attentions. Yeah, sometimes if an object's important, it's good to list another 2 things to like make it look like any of these things, you know. Oh, well, he mentioned the drawer, so maybe there's something in the drawer. It's like, yeah, no, I mentioned the vase as well. I mentioned the portrait on the wall. You have to search now. Secrets to discovery. Giving information to one player. When one player separates from the rest of the group, it's usually okay to let the rest know what happens. Yeah, we all know it's a game. And you can give them a piece of paper, you can text them if you want them to have a secret piece of information. Is the D20 test warranted? What's the DC? A lot of the time I just do 15 in my head. I'm like, well, that's what you need. So another table for the DM to just, if they don't know what the abilities do. So proficiencies, passive checks are useful, because I put folded player cards over my DM screen. On my side, I write the name, the AC and the passive perception. So I can see who spots things without investigating quite easily. Same old tables. Advantage, disadvantage, consequences, degrees of failure. Whether you fail by 5 or more, that's something that can be interesting. Degrees of success. The improvising damage table. It says here 1d10 burned by coals. 2d10 stumbled into a fire pit. I do 1d6 as fire damage. This is saying 2d10. That's interesting. I could up my fire damage from that. But that would also mean that I could be killed by my players easier with fire. With create bonfire, which they do under a lot of my baddies. Things you might need: a list of NPC names, some random tables such as settlements, a campaign journal, and maps. So NPCs use facial expressions, smile, yawn, pout, that's good. Use motions and posture, yes. voices if you're that way out. Yeah, some players will happily roleplay and others will shrink away from it. If you want to do the friendly, indifferent or hostile sort of role, you can. Running exploration, running a map, tracking time, actions in exploration, perception, when to call for a check and when to use passive, kind of covered that. Hidden things in adventures. Yeah, a lot of the time when I fire to the TV, you can see where the secret door is, but I want them to find the secret doors. But they still have to roll for it, and if they don't, they're not going that way. Audible distance. I mean, you can get a bit too deep in the weeds, I think. That's just underwater encounter distance. I said just wing that. Just imagine it, paint the picture, and you're about 30 feet away, 60 feet away. Weather, it's nice that it includes that table, but it's not. You can just say it's raining, can't you? I like those weather dice. You just roll and it sort of gives you an indication of what the weather's doing. A very quick rule I have is whatever the weather's actually doing outside is what the weather's doing in the game. So if your players have come on a hot day, then the sun's out on that day. Navigation during travel. Ambush, attack from above, distant sighting, foraging. Do players need to track rations? Normally you start off with good intentions and eventually someone comes up with a cure for it anyway. Navigation, exhaustion, searches, tracking. It's like survival checks. Do they go the wrong way? Rolling initiative, tracking initiative, tracking monsters' hit points. If you aren't using miniatures, imagine that you're running an encounter with 3 ogres. You might attach descriptions such as the ogre with the big scar, the ogre with the helmet, etc. So we've got one with a scar, one with a helmet on, and one smeared with dirt. Yeah, that's very good. I've noticed they do that in books. They'll end up sort of saying, there's 3 guys, one's short, one's fat, and one's moustache. And moustache hits you, and you're like, oh, I know who you mean. Ways to track, you can either track from full hit points down to 0, or do what I did a while ago, start at 0 and go up. But then when your players ask how many hit points they've got left, it sometimes confuses them. Because I'm counting up and I'm like, 135. 135? Yeah, out of 137. Oh. Creature sizes, yeah, if you want to get real technical. Line of sight, cover, awarding heroic inspiration. Use it to incentivise the kind of behaviour you want to see in your game. It's like having a dog, isn't it? Giving him a dog biscuit. Who's a good boy? You've done very good there. But it works. Saying that a creature is blooded. Explaining that the fire damage did nothing against the fire elemental to let them understand their immunity to fire damage. Describing the actions. I'll dash. Dispensing with attacks. Your foe hurries across the room. So yeah, a little table there. And myself and my players sometimes do fall into that. I use the help action. I use the disengage. I disengage, go over here. It's like, yeah, we should try harder to actually put it into the story. But then that falls on me to describe, I suppose, what they did in a story fashion. It's important that the characters can tell when their characters' opponents are casting spells, so that they can counterspell. You know, there's many times in this game when you do have to pause to see whether somebody wants to do that, so you don't have to retroactively go back. Like when you're doing damage, that's 7 piercing and 25 force, and they say, hang on, because I'm resistant to that, because I'm raging and not that, and lucky, for example, someone's using lucky, right? They roll, you miss, and this thing falls down. Well, no, lucky. Well, you see, lucky was meant to be before the DM said whether you'd done it or not, but the DM's not going to wait around. He's just getting on with it. But I don't know if lucky's changed now from that. Hasten a monster's demise. If combat's gone on long enough and the character's victory is almost certain, you can simply have the monster drop dead. The players don't ever need to know that it still had 15 health points. Absolutely true. And a sneaky little one is to say that it drops dead with 15 health, and it just falls down dead to the floor and a big last exhalation comes out of its mouth. But really, it's waiting for them to do something else so that it can re-surprise them and get a last blow in. But you can only do that every so often. Add a combatant, yes. Second wave of things arrive. Change the terrain. This is good. Open a fissure in the floor. releasing noxious vapours, obscuring smoke or lava. Magic can tear the place up. Maybe a warg splits open and a gibbering mouth spills out in its place. Cool. Adjusting the difficulty. Yep, you can fudge it as you go. Fight or flight. Monsters and players. Monsters can run away for self-preservation. Milestones. Levelling up. Variant. Trying to gain levels. Training to gain levels. If you choose this option after earning enough experience points to attain a new level, a character must train for a number of days before gaining any class feature. Training time 10 days, 20, 30, 40, and XP cost. DM's toolbox. Alignment. Actions indicate alignment. It's okay to stray from your alignment, and players can change their characters' alignments if these alignments no longer describe their characters. Yeah, I mean, that's the story arc of the character, isn't it? If they started off one way and become another way. You don't need to look at their alignment, everyone will agree on how they've been behaving as to what their alignment is. Chases, beginning a chase, dashing, spell attacks, ending the chase, escape factors, splitting up, mapping, a table of urban chase complications, wilderness chase complications, I can't say it, choosing a background, yada yada yada, minor alterations, creature traits, crafting a magic item. You can alter a magic item's form while leaving its properties intact. For example, you can turn a ring of the ram into a wand or a cloak of protection into some other worn object without altering the item's properties. Creating a new item, creating a spell, Wriggle Run. I know that name from somewhere, can't remember. Spell damage table, healing spells, curses, cursed items, demonic possession. A creature that becomes the target of a demonic possession does a 15 charisma save, or the player can be taken over by the demon. That's not fun. Cackle fever, sewer plague, sight rot, be blinded. Death must be fair, provide fair warning. Scaling lethality, defeated, not dead. Death scenes. When a character dies, consider giving the player some ownership over the character's final moments by asking what the character's last words are, or how the characters greet death. I do like allowing a player who dies to have one last act, maybe one last attack, or one last thing to do. They are dead, there's no getting around it, but they have one last thing, which could they could cast a spell. They've got a big spell slot, cast that just do that final thing. I like that idea. And then everyone loots the corpse. What if everyone dies? Yeah, it's annoying. Everyone makes new characters for a fresh start. Divine Council. The characters must convince the council to return them to life. The characters wake up in Hades and have to get back to where they were. They wake up in cells. Kept alive for some purpose. Raised by another. Ooh, yes. Raised by a really obnoxious adventuring party who are their betters. They hate that. Some DCs for destroying objects, but really, you can wing that. There's no need to be held to a table for these things that are completely off the top of your head. Dungeon quirks, table, built on top of a cloud, intended as a tomb. Yes, mapping a dungeon, ceiling supports, decoration, guard posts, living quarters, shrines, states of ruin, environmental effects, dead magic zone, deep water, extreme cold, high altitude, ice, fear and mental stress, sample mental stress effects. A character ingests a hallucinogenic substance that distorts the character's perception of reality. 1d6 psychic damage. Short-term effects, long-term effects, very Call of Cthulhu. Firearms, kablooey. I've never really had proper guns, I don't think, in my D&D games. Semi-automatic pistol, antimatter rifle. Yeah, I think these were in the old DMG, and it's fine if you're playing Spelljammer or something. A bomb, a dynamite stick, grenades, alien tech. Talks about divine ranks, gods and magic. Gods, I always glaze over one of these stuff about gods. You just make it up. And this new fungus fireball is quite cool. Sorry, fireball fungus. The fungus explodes as if a fireball, and it can cause other pockets of those to detonate as well. Inferno, poisonous gas. Quicksand, razor vine, the river Styx, rock slide, vicious vine webs, yellow mould. Yeah, that's nice. Medals. Training. A character might be offered special training. 30 days to get you a new proficiency in a skill, or with a tool, or learn a new language. That's good. Average results. Whenever you have groups of monsters, basically, big mobs. How many in the mob is it? Like 10? With advantage, with disadvantage, out of 4, or is it this? Out of 4, out of 5, out of 6, out of 10. Yeah? NPCs, common names. Yeah, I just have a list of names pinned to my DM screen. Lyrical names. Yeah, these are good. This is good. This is useful for some people. Nice and quick appearance. Give them something, as we said many times, they're bald, or braided, or exceptionally ugly, or beautiful. NPC secrets. Yeah, I would say write down on a card for an important NPC. Don't go overboard. If your NPC has 10 individual description pieces, the players will only remember about 3, so keep it simple. Different types of NPC, whether you want them to be a quest giver or a joker. Loyalty, don't forget that they can turn against the party if they're not enjoying time with them. Talking about poisons of different kinds. A truth serum, that's quite cool. Gaining renown, that's completely optional. Settlements. A village, a town, a city. Alright, we've got a table for defining traits. Claims to fame. Current calamities. Local leaders. Oh, that's good. I like that. Tavern names. Standard, yeah. Random shops. Nice. Settlement tracker. Nope. So, flamethrower coach. Keg launcher. So, you know what it is? It's like the old DMG was a scruffy teenager. Bedroom all a mess. And then the new DMG is that teenager dressed nice to go to a wedding. And everything's in order, and everything's clean and sleek, and brushes up well. That's what it's like. But for us pre-now DMs, I think we've already got a lot of this down anyway. We're pretty used to just coming up with things like this on the fly. It's not fixing any problems that I necessarily have. Some hooks, some adventure ideas we skipped over. Keep the adventure moving. Combat difficulty. XP budget. So the party's level, let's say 7. A low encounter, 750. So spend your budget. Every creature will have an XP value. You top them all up, and you've got a rough idea of how difficult that fight will be. You don't need to do all that. I've spoke before about you can pull your punches, you can up your damage, you can really play it by ear and just wing it. But it's good for newbies to understand how to do it by the book. Not all monsters are immediately hostile, surrenders easily, stands firm against danger. Monster relationships. 2 monsters have a bitter rivalry. Each wants the other to suffer. Bringing it to an end, well, that's up in the air how that happens. Random individual treasure. Treasure hoards. The fouled stream. An alien fungus in a cave is polluting the stream that flows past the village of High Eri? The fungus has spawned vile creatures in and around the cave. Yep, we're going to go through that. We're going to pass through that. The Winged God. A red dragon wormling drove a band of kobolds away. A long-forgotten ruin is rumoured to hold a fiendish artefact called the Horns of the Beast. As the encounter list. Yes, nice. Then 7th level. Okay, so that's a good example, at least, isn't it? Step-by-step campaigns. Lay out the premise, drawing the players, plan adventures, bring it to an end. You just said that. Keep a journal. I think this is quite overwhelming. Conflict art. I don't know how I feel about this. Mythic fantasy, supernatural horror. Strange. I just feel like this is a lot of filler, but maybe that's just me. Using a published... Okay, D&D settings. That's quite nice. Create your own setting. course you can. A session 0. Okay, so the importance of session 0. Bring the party together. A bonding event, setting the stage, key events, starting location. Your first adventure. Keep the first adventure relatively short and simple. Allow the characters time to get to know each other as players. Episodes, serials, adventure connections. Getting players invested. A home base for Bastions later on. Yes, looking forward to that bit. And then we're on Greyhawk. I think it's good that they've brought Greyhawk back. I know very little about it, but the fact that Gary Gygax created this first, I think it should be more well known. So I'm quite keen to learn about this world myself. So obviously I don't have the poster map yet. Oh, pronounced Orth or Oith, which Greyhawk Grognard told me about. He was right. Oiric, the Flanes. Okay, talks about the goals of chromatic dragons. Nice. Elemental evil. Princess of the Apocalypse, which I haven't done a DM guide for yet, and I've never even run, but that's on the list. Greyhawk setting. Oh yeah, they're really going into the calendar and everything. Interesting. Your world's calendar. Circle of 8. Knights of the Watch, Order of the Heart, Scarlet Order. I look forward to reading this more when I've got the book. The Gods. The Free City of Greyhawk. Ah, that's nice. Yeah, that's good. As an adventure setting, I like that. Start here. Bastion friendly. Key conflicts. It's good giving new DMs some information to actually start their world with. City gates, crime, minor crime. Neighbourhoods. Black Dragon Inn, Great Library. So it just lists some venues and has, some little trinkets of information, just enough. Temple of the Radiant Sun, Unearthed Arcana. Its quaint two-storey shop has a sign depicting a white-bearded human wizard holding a staff that has a copper ball affixed to its tip. Alright, so magic shops. Beyond the Walls, City of Greyhawk and Environs. Again, that's nice. Castle Greyhawk. Yeah, that's really going to bring, hopefully, the old and the new together, and then a bit of more of a world map. I am on board with that. So, a lot of information on this place, which you could say is a bit of a padding thing. But I am on board with that, because rather than saying you could create a city, it's like, no, look, here's one. Here's what we do, so you've got an idea. Cosmology, as I say, cosmology and gods, I kind of start to phase out my interest. Magic items and their categories. And then a lot of tables in this section about how many magic items your party should have at any time. And then goes through the fact that to craft a magic item, you must have proficiency in the Arcana skill and the requisite tools, like jeweler's tools to make rings and things like that, and be able to cast any magic that you put into said magic item. And then list of tables here with the history, the intention of the item, the minor properties, magic items, quirks, benefits, detriments. I really like that. Then we get to the magic items. Yeah, we go through the magic items all down the alphabet. Random magic items. Okay, that's nice. D100. Yes. Good idea. That seems fair. You open up some chests and let's roll, see what's in it. Go through all the, legendary common armaments. Oh, even armour and stuff. Yeah. Nice. Very good. Implements. Let's go implements table. Oh, this is much better. I don't mind a D100 table at all. So even legendary and then relics. Yes. That is useful. I really didn't get on with the roll on table C, roll twice on table A, and then do a dance and roll on F. No, wasn't for me that, but this is useful. Now to bastions. I'll even get rid of my stupid face for you. Bastion is a stronghold and a home that they players have. They have to reach level 5 first. A bastion turn is when a character can issue orders to that facility. The frequency, well, it's whenever. whenever you decide. In addition to the basic and special facilities, the bastion can also have closets, corridors, ramps, staircases, defensive walls, doors and windows. 2 or more players can combine their bastions into a single structure. Doing so doesn't change the number of special facilities. Yeah, good. So they could have 4 all put together. Basic facilities, cramped or not. Moving from a cramped room to a bigger room. How much money is it to knock the walls through and stuff. Hirelings, giving your orders such as craft. Hirelings craft an item that can be made in that facility. The faculty can't be used to craft anything else. It must just do that one thing. The hirelings have proficiency with artisans' tools as described in that specific facility. Empower. It confers a temporary empowerment to you or somebody else. Harvest. Go and get me stuff. Maintain. Look after the place. Recruit. Research. Trade. And then the prerequisites and what they do. Greenhouse to harvest things. Meditation chamber. Yeah, I love it. I love it. An arcane study. It's roomy. There's 1 hireling. The order would be to craft. You commission the facility's hireling to craft an arcane focus. It takes 7 days. Costs no money. Craft a book. Craft a magic item. Archive. Alright, so gaming hall, garden, guild hall, menagerie, meditation chamber. Theatre, teleportation circle. Level 9 bastion facility. Each time you issue the recruit order, its hireling extends an invitation to a friendly NPC spellcaster. If the roll is odd, it's declined. Okay, war room, bastion events. Immediately after a character issues the maintain, just look after the place. Then there's a random table. Oh, you've lost hirelings. Oh, there's friendly visitors. Oh, there's an attack. That's good. And then those events are described here with further roll tables. Accident reports are way down. Attack. You roll a d6, and on a 1, 1 bastion defender dies. Yeah, it really goes into what happens with your bastion. Fall of a bastion. Divestiture. A character can give up their bastion any time, releasing the hirelings and abandoning the location. Neglect or ruination. Yeah, that's fun. That sounds great. A glossary of all the words that come up in the game, like Xanathar. Behold a crime lord dwelling beneath Waterdeep. And then should hyperlink you to Waterdeep, most famous and cosmopolitan city. The city's home to the Yawning Portal. The Yawning Portal, built around an entrance to the infamous dungeon of Undermountain. Really good. Well done. And then we have some maps. There were maps in the last one, weren't there? I never used them. I was never inspired by them, but I did appreciate their work. Maybe now that I'm a bit better. Oh look, there's a list, like a Dragon's Lair. Alright, you go in the top, go down, and then level 3. So, level 1 down to 2, then down to 3. A farmstead, a keep, a manor, a roadside inn. Yeah, not bad. Ship. I mean, I actually bought some double-sided maps myself with ships on, and I think they work better. The colour and everything. Lovely stuff. So yeah, Wizard's Tower, even. I'm a bit disappointed that they look more like, well, the black and white stuff. I would like more colour on them, absolutely. And then what have we got here? Tracking sheets, all your different printable sheets, bastion trackers, blah, 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 blah. And credits. Well, I've tried not to show you everything in it, but I've tried to show you what is in it. I look forward to having the book in my hand. Those magic item tables look good. And the Greyhawk bit, yes, nice. I am actually going to be going homebrew in a few months in my homebrew world, and my videos might change to, come on, watch how I build this world out, because that's something I need to do, and I may as well make content out of it. And it might help some people see my actual process as I learn myself. So I'm running a game for my Facebook community soon where I get to play with them. And yeah, a lot of videos already in the bank which you won't see till the end of the year. And I just keep plodding away. I'm enjoying myself and I thank you for watching.